Hi. Keith is just pulling up. It's one of those construction days that never seem to end. So glad you're here. He's just getting set up. I want you to start this off great and let's tell everybody where you are building and what city you're in and or what state you're in that you're building. And then also type 1 if you're just in the dreaming phase, type 2 if you're in the planning and design phase, 3 if you're pulling permits, and 4 if you're building. Tell us where you're at in this building your own home, building your dream home. And if you're here and somebody else is building it and you just want to ask questions to make sure things are on track, we welcome you to tell us where you're at in your build. I'm going to be making comments also. Okay. So, tell us where you're at. Okay. We're glad you're here. Let's get some questions. If you have a question, you can put it in the comments and let us know. Okay. Okay, we have well, David, okay, at David, I'm going to get you going here since you were up here and going. David Parker, I'm trying to resist it, but I keep coming up with ideas to build a home. So have you written those ideas down? Have you not found land? Are you looking for land? Tell me where you're at. It's fun to dream. I know before Keith and I were building, we would get books of house plans and circle what we like, circle what we don't like. It sure is fun to dream. Tell me, David, what is holding you back? What's your biggest fear that's holding you back from building your dream home or just building a home for you? Okay, we're okay. Phoenix, Arizona. Okay. It's warm down there. Been there a couple of times. Todd. Let's see here. Todd Root, 1757. Okay, planning, looking for land is the holdup. Okay, have plans ready that I can come up with. Plan to do a lot of work myself. Todd Root in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Okay, is the land really expensive where you're at? I know here in southern Utah, it's hard to find land also, land with water, and the prices have just really gone up high here. So there's a lot of people feeling your pain about finding land. Okay, let's see here. Let's go to Primetime Peyton. Hi, how you doing? We're glad you're back. Okay. Hey guys, good to see you. On the flow chart, I'm a little confused on who lays out foundation. I'm assuming excavators can they do this without a survey? I'm going to leave that one for Keith because I'll probably mess that one up for sure because I'm not there all the time when he's doing it. Okay, so I'm going to star that one. Okay, David, they're all in your head. Okay, well, let's get them down. Let's get you going on your land. You're going to need land first. If you want to go to how to build your own home, there is download a free checklist, and you can make sure that when you are buying land that you have the right questions to ask. So you get some land that is good to build on, or if it needs extra help or has soils problems, you know about it before finalizing and closing on the land. There's been many times Keith's had to go in and save homeowners that are trying to build because they bought bad land. And so he went in and fixed that. So if you want that free download, go to How to Build Your Own Home. Go back to the comments. Let me just check here. Okay, so okay, building. Doug, oh, you're building a storage shed. Okay, in Scipio. I'm glad you found you got your land. You did tell me that you got that land. So I'm glad you're going to start. That's awesome. Okay. Oh, I didn't put Doug on. There you go, Doug. Shout out to Doug. He's been watching and going back and forth on getting his perfect piece of land. So we're glad he's here. Okay, let's see. Brady. Okay, let's see. I'm having technical difficulties. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, David Parker. Okay, Northwest USA. Okay. Hi, Brady. So glad you are here. We love it when you're here. Getting 1.5 speed. Great. Okay, Brady. Okay. I'm in Western Wyoming, got an A-frame dried in and waiting for electrical to pass inspection. Homeowner doing his own electrical. Oh, that makes it a little delayed, doesn't it? And I'm planning a new rental build, finalizing plans to stay in April. Great. Good job. I'm excited for you. Hope you can send us some pictures. Okay, Keith should get on pretty soon here. And then we'll get back up to those questions. Okay, any recommendations for avoiding roof vents as much as possible on an aluminum shingle roof? Rainy Western. Okay, we'll get that one. Keith will get that one. Great. Okay, so we will go back up here to, I wrote down some other questions too. Let's see here.
I'm there.
There you are. Okay.
I wasn't logged in right. I was like, I'm in live stream, but it was the wrong link. So I'm here. Sorry, everybody. I was dealing with my mason and dealing with my roofer on a job, and they were both late. And I had to make sure that they got clarity on what I need. And it's one of those things where if they don't get their flashing in right, end wall, top of wall flashing, I did it on a video that comes out in about a week, then nobody else can start. So I had to wait there to make sure that they were all lined out. And so that's why I'm late. Blame it on my mason and blame it on my roofer. So, but we are here. Let's take some questions, and I have some thoughts in my mind. I'll jump in here and there. But let's go ahead and get some questions answered here.
Okay, there you go, honey.
This is Primetime Peyton. Hey guys, good to see you. On the flow chart, I'm a little confused on who lays out foundation. I'm assuming excavators. Can they do this without a survey? It's not the excavators. It is your concrete person. He should come out and lay that out for you. If your excavator is in good relationship with your concrete person, then usually sometimes the excavator will do it. A lot of times, like I have a concrete guy, and he kind of lays out the backboards with the string, and then he chalk lines everything, then he pulls everything down, then he tells the excavator to come and dig his trenches. It depends on how good that relationship is. And sometimes it's good, sometimes they don't know each other from Adam. So it's kind of nice to see if they do have an excavator they prefer working with. And some concrete guys will dig their own footings without any excavator at all. And so I had one that had his own heavy equipment. I dig my own. I have my own heavy equipment. So most of my concrete guys know my track goes usually going to be on site. on a lot of jobs, and they'll just use that. So again, communication, finding out what they can do. And then without a survey, again, if your parcel is like an acre, 2 or 3 or 5 acres, and you have some corners already established, pull a string, pull your line set from that string, and save yourself $1,500. If you think you need a survey, because I've built on parcels where it's 0.21 of an acre, super tight on a plateau with an incredible view, houses on top of each other, I had to pull a survey to get exact, accurate measurements because the house fits perfectly. And if I'm off by a couple of inches, I throw everything else off. The entire neighborhood starts to freak out. So again, there's all the situation determines what you need to do. So
and also remember our first house that we built together when we were teachers, honey?
Yeah.
And they pulled it off the corners instead of the bay window. And so we lost our bay window because our dimensions were so tight that he didn't.
Yeah. We kept the bay window, but we just had to cantilever it.
Yeah.
And so I had all this concrete poured for a bay window, and this, you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's funny how all that works. You can cantilever up to 3 to 4 feet in a lot of jurisdictions at a certain height or even a foot above the ground, but you just can't go all the way down with a foundation because that's considered your foundation.
Yeah, but there's a big difference having a bay window, like
Right.
the floor gives you extra
Right.
space than just cantilevered.
Yeah, you're right. Your feet don't hit the table and they slide in real nice. Would have been nice to have that. So
yeah. Okay, here's the next one.
Venom Bunny 94. Any recommendations for avoiding roof vents as much as possible on aluminum shingle roof in rainy Western Washington? Yeah, Western Washington would be an issue. You're closer to the coast. I wouldn't put them on, to be honest with you. Your temperature is not going to get more than, Gad's 95 or 90 tops. Not even that most of the year. The aluminum shingle is going to act as a radiant barrier and keep all the heat outside your roof anyway. It would be nice to have one vent at the most, but I've talked with the supplier of that, Jake, the president of the company, and a lot of builders are just avoiding the venting entirely when they put an aluminum shingle roof on. Now, if I'm building in Phoenix, Arizona, it might be a little different because there you might want some ventilation. But when you're on the coast and you're so cool, guys, your temperature rarely gets over 90. Probably their highest is around 87 if you're Western Washington, closer to the coast. So I wouldn't, in my mind, I wouldn't put any vent on at all. So there you go. You could put what's called a gable vent on if you have a gable out like that, and to avoid any kind of heat buildup, you can put a small vent on the gable, and that would be your attic ventilation. There you go, done. And that way you avoid the penetration on the roof. So good question. This is by SBS Build. Do I have to have all the trades that are going to penetrate the roof done before I schedule the tile roof installation? Yes. Yes, you do. And because they have a certain flange, it's basically aluminum flange that goes over the penetrations, your black pipe, and make sure that they put black pipe, not PVC penetrations. Black pipe can get painted and it can withstand the temperatures better. And I'm seeing a lot of plumbers actually exit the roof with a galvanized pipe. It's metal. It even lasts even longer, but don't let them go with white PVC. You can paint it, but that's not going to last very long. And so if you have a black pipe, it holds it a little better and it can last longer. So, and that aluminum concaves and it basically forms to a low profile or high profile S tile. That's if you're using Spanish tile. If you're not using Spanish tile and it's a flat tile, then it's a galvanized metal that goes right over the top of those penetrations. So yeah, you're going to want all those done first. Good question. Don't let them put tar paper underneath that tile roof. Don't let them do it. A lot of lazy roofers are still using that garbage. Tell them you want synthetic or even possibly ice and water shield, something that's a little more permanent. The tar paper dries underneath it and curls underneath it, and it's bad news. It's also a fire hazard. Good question.
Brady has
Brady Morgan. I use the ASSES framework for looking at land, detailed in my new book, but I make a video about it sometime soon for my channel. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, and Brady was an inspector. He has
Okay.
a few more. So we have actually Steve Boyer. He's in Northern Utah, dreaming and scheming. So
I like that.
tell us what your biggest fear is on building a home for yourself.
Yeah.
We want to hear it.
We like to subdue that fear.
Yeah. Help you in any way. And then Brady again.
Check all setbacks and placement of forms before pouring concrete. When I first became an inspector, there was a house that they actually poured the foundation with garage setback because they here's a second part to that.
Oh, sorry. I'm slow. For some reason my clicker isn't working. There we go.
Because they measured off road instead of property line, had to break it out and put garage around to the side with weird hall in front of the house to get the garage out. And when you're in tight quarters like that, that's what I was on several jobs in my career, and I knew I had to pull a survey. I had a house that had a far back corner here right on the property line, and another the other end of the house right dead center, right on the property line. The architect, used all the space, buildable space inside the pad. So I literally had to get a survey and a string going this way and a string going that way, and I had to hit those corners just right. That's when you need a surveyor. Don't mess around when it's tight quarters like that.
Yep. Okay, just put your questions and comments in the chat while we.
Okay, I've got one here. I can go.
Yep. Yeah, the ones that printed off. Read those.
Okay. Okay, let me go with one here. This is from Andrea, and she says, hello, I hope this week has not been taxing for you. Hasn't been so far, except I got late to my live chat today. These are questions for insurance company is asking me. I'm in the process of obtaining my general liability insurance and workman comp insurance before I start the project. Very good process. Estimated subcontractor costs. This is the question I'm a loss on, okay? Meaning the insurance company is wanting you to estimate how much of the work is going to be done by subcontractors. And then to factor in the cost on that, meaning if you're going to build a home that's $385,000 and you want to do the work on maybe $10,000 of that, the rest of it will be your subcontractor cost, meaning you're a paper contractor at that time. You will sub out the rest to those subcontractors. That's what they're asking for. And you have to really kind of sit through it, go through the budget. And the budget in my program really helps you see what those individual subcontractors are. And then you add up all those total costs, and that's what you give to the insurance company. Not all insurance companies ask for that. However, my insurance company, they do ask for that every single year. They're going to ask me, Keith, how much work are you in line to do for the next year? And I'll sit with my daughter, Mackenzie, and we'll say, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 million, whatever it may be. We tell them that, and then they factor in a policy for that amount of work for that year. Again, you're always getting an insurance policy for the future work that you're doing. And don't try to skimp on that. It's not going to be that much of a cost for you, but make sure you give them that information up front, okay? And this person says, I'm in North Carolina. I do not understand how the whole qualifier situation works. She's thinking about being a GC. Can you explain it in layman terms? When I call the board, which I have several times, they are not nice and not trying to explain it on my level. I do not know it is my company name that I use all the time, even when I put in bids, and not his name. So his name meaning her qualifier. So this is on warm regards. She says, I have a qualifier for her company. What that basically means is she's not the licensed general contractor. Somebody else is the licensed general contractor. That person who is the licensed general contractor is the qualifier for her LLC or C corporation. Does that make sense? So anyone can set up an LLC or C corporation and call yourself a construction company. You can do that. But once you actually start engaging in building something, if you are not a licensed general contractor, you need somebody to be your qualifier for you. Okay. And that's basically what that means. You're getting somebody else to be the GC on that. But keep in mind, when you go that route in my state and other states that I know of, they will require that qualifier own a piece of your company. When I first became a GC, I had to get a qualifier for an additional year because I was short on some of the things I needed. And a friend of mine that I worked for in the nonprofit sector, he signed off, but he had to own 20% of the company. But before we even started, he says, Keith, give me a buyback or whatever that he signed, meaning that I could remove him at any time I wanted. He wanted me to feel safe. It was really nice. And so he was my qualifier. As soon as I finally qualified on my own, I removed him from the company. He didn't require any buyout or anything like that. It was nice and clean. So get an attorney involved if you can, or someone who really knows business contracting, because I know of somebody who's tied up with somebody right now. That somebody owns their company. They'd love to break free, but they can't because this somebody is very, very stickler, and they will take as much as they can with the business if he chooses to go a different route. So get some legal help, get it all done right. A quick claim deed is what it is, and so that's what he gave me. At the same time, I gave him 20% of the company. He signed a quick claim deed, and he says, Keith, just file this when you're ready and to go on your own, and we're all good. All he wanted to make sure was that I was fully licensed or fully insured as long as I was building, and I gave him that documentation, and he was okay. So I hope that answers your question. And it's pretty much universal with a lot of states, that qualifier issue. So good question.
We have another one.
Okay, aluminum radiates heat better than steel. Yes, it does. If you go out into the desert and you see a cast iron skillet, which is steel, all right, and you see an aluminum can, again, it's 110 degrees outside. Which one do you want to touch and which one do you not want to touch? The aluminum will still be hot, but nothing compared to that skillet. In fact, a skillet, the cast iron skillet, is very much like a rock. If you pick up a rock at 110 degrees, how hot is that going to be? But you can pick up aluminum and toss it. It's still going to be hot, but nothing compared to that, the density of a skillet or the density of a rock that is going to absorb that heat, radiate it back into itself and back into the building, which is why I don't like putting concrete on my roof. It radiates that back into the attic all the way until 1 o'clock in the morning. You can build in Phoenix, Arizona. A lot of them put that tile roof on. And when the sun goes down, it's like still radiating heat back in the atmosphere. When my sun goes down, which you can see doing it right now, as soon as that sun goes down, boom, the aluminum roof is cooling off instantaneously. So I'm not radiating heat back into the attic. So that's the benefit. That's the benefit of aluminum. All right, even better than galvanized steel. Okay, good question.
Yeah, this is a three-part.
Okay, I'm building a high-end home this spring as an owner-builder in Canada and bringing in a contractor for oversight. He proposes cost plus for any trades or consulting he handles and wants to list the home as one he built. I'll manage all decisions and already have most elements lined up, but I still want his experienced eye on site. What type of agreement should we put in place?
There's one more.
Does this arrangement seem reasonable? Whose license is going to be on the permit and whose insurance is going to cover the job? If his license is going to be on the permit, and if his insurance is going to cover the job, then I wouldn't mind putting his name on the bill. But if your insurance is covering the job and you're an owner builder and you're managing it legally as an owner builder, then you're just hiring him as a consultant only, not as a GC. So you do not want to go cost plus with him.
Mm-hmm.
You want to just get a consulting fee and negotiate that up front. Because if you go with a license and his license is on it, his insurance is on it, he'll claim control of it and he'll get you in a contract. And then you're kind of locked according to what he is going to tell you. You don't want that. Maintain your owner builder status, file your permit as an owner builder, get your own insurance, which isn't going to be that hard, really, if you really think about it. Get your own insurance, and now just hire him as a consultant. And now you're in the driver's seat. He's not in the driver's seat. Don't let him be in the driver's seat. Just use him as a consultant. Okay. And
yeah. I'm curious if you're getting a loan, because if your lender is asking for a GC, that's a different variable also.
Right. If your lender's asking for a GC, then that changes things. You're going to have to shift to his license and his insurance. And then you're bending to him controlling everything. If you don't need a loan and you're doing this cash, you don't need a GC at all. You don't need that consulting. I offer that also as well. I know cold weather pretty well. So think about that. There's a lot of options out there. You could also get him to consult you up through 4-way or framing inspection after mechanical is done, just that far. After that, you can handle it yourself. There's just that point of threshold. And I've run into a lot of people that hire me and they're scared. They don't know about the foundation work, the framing, and all the tie downs and all the structural components of a build, trusses, framing, roofing, you name it. And once I get them to that point, they see, why do we need him? And then they ask me to leave or they buy me out. That's happened about a half dozen times over a 25-year period of time. I'm not interested in doing that stuff anymore, but ask the contractor if he'll take you at least that far with consulting or a GC, but not the whole way. Okay. Good question.
Yeah. And he says he's doing it mostly cash.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And thanks for taking the course. Yeah.
Yeah. Alyssa 2639. What would be the difference in cost between a slab on grade build versus footings, stem walls with wood frames, subfloor? It depends on your weather. Again, if you tell us where you're building, then I can ask a little more. I can answer a little better. So I'm going to let her tell us where she's building, and I'll come back to that question.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, that's Eric. Let's see here. I don't know if you want. This is what Eric has to say.
Let the contractor run the show and use a consultant to ensure maximum value. Homeowners don't know anything. That's true if they're fresh into it, but I've known some homeowners that know more than I do. All right, on particular subject matter. For example, I have a homeowner that wants to do something, and he was just as informed as I was on a particular install for a particular specialty inside a home. And I was up researching it, and when I came back, he knew as much as I did. And so I don't underestimate hardcore researchers. Mm-hmm. If they're not hardcore researchers, then that's true. But I had a contract to build a multi-million-dollar home for a client, and he hired me, and he was up to speed just as I was up to speed. I was just catching up with him, researching all the different things that he wanted to do to a home. And we ended up not building the home because the cost just wasn't there for him. Mm-hmm. Plus some other factors turned sideways for him. So I've seen owner builders are actually probably better informed on technology than most general contractors are today. And why? I can walk through a community right now, and there's probably a half dozen homes being built, and probably about 3 to 5 different contractors. and none of them are applying any new advanced technologies to it. No envelope on insulation. I could go down the list. And I was talking with a supplier, and I said to him, a supply house, and I said, you guys are pretty much to fault for general, because he wanted me to use a new technology. And I tried it out, didn't work out very well. But beside the point, I said there are other technologies that builders would probably adopt, but when they come to a supply house, they don't see it in your showroom. They don't hear a salesman talking about it, because you guys get locked up into big suppliers that you have pro bono stuff or positive revenue from, and you've got contracts and percentages all worked out. So when a new technology comes in, I don't know about that. I've already got this established. So supply houses I hold responsible for not advancing new technologies. And I'm putting a lot of pressure on them, because that's where builders learn new information. They don't get online. They don't learn. They don't study. They're not curious. They don't have questions. The only way they run into new stuff is if it's in a supply house, and then other builders will come into the supply houses and say, I'm interested in that. And that's how they distribute ideas. I could go on and on about that, but good
Okay.
thought. Appreciate the comment.
Back to
What
AI.
would be the difference in the cost of the slab on grade stem walls with wood frame subfloor?
She's in Prescott, Arizona.
Okay, slab on grade. Yeah, see how quick that was? You're in Prescott. That's a hotter climate, drier climate.
Prescott gets cold, I believe, because that's
it does, but it's very much like where we are. And I still wouldn't do a stem wall there. It's a very dry climate for the most part. In fact, Arizona is probably first in a drier climate than we are. Mm-hmm. And depending upon the contours of your soil, and if you're high and all that kind of stuff, I would more than likely choose to do a slab on grade. But I'm going to give you a couple of pointers on slab on grade. When they do the slab on grade, make sure they do control cuts within 14 to 18 hours after they pour the slab, and do a control cut 4 feet on center, meaning every 4 feet, and 3/4 inch cut into the slab. You're going to control your cracks even better, and then it's going to be a really solid slab. And make sure you put number 3 or number 4 rebar 3 foot on center inside the slab. And then I put about 6 inches of road base underneath that slab for real good compaction. If you do that, you're going to have a really solid slab. And make sure your plumber does pecs and a sleeve so he can slide the pecs right through from site to site. I'm not too much of a fan of stem wall. It's really, really hard to nail it. Your elevations are harder to establish. Most people who do stem walls get lazy, and they end up having to put steps on the home, 2 to 3 steps inside the main door, 1 or 2 steps inside the garage. It's not fun. And if you don't design it just right and push your subcontractors to make it happen, then you're going to run into steps everywhere, and it's not fun. It takes a lot more experience to hit the elevation just right with a stem wall. But with the slab on grade, it's not that hard.
Well, so, Keith, she was asking what's the price difference, the cost difference between slab on grade versus footing stem wall.
It's almost the same. I wouldn't look at it in a cost fashion. With a slab on grade, you can get a lot more custom work done. You can do a recessed shower much easier. That's going to save you quite a bit of time. You can get all your plumbing done underground, and it's a time factor. So you get all your underground rough, and so you're just coming up through the foundation. There's a quality time cost. And if it's only cost you're looking at, the difference between the two, then you're not looking at the savings of time also that you're coming up with. So there's a lot of variables with regard to that. The only drawback is if you want to remodel something and move a toilet or move something like that, you got to cut through the concrete to do it. Mm-hmm. And if you see yourself wanting to remodel a lot or change things or add on, then a stem wall might be for you. But here's the caveat. The stem wall is about 3 feet high for the most part. Then you've got another 10 to 12 inches of a footing underneath that. So it's going to be a lot more concrete. Right now, lumber is really down in price. Concrete has held its price. It hasn't come down that much. So you might be better off with a stem wall. You can price it both ways. You can ask a couple of builders down there and ask them, hey, what do you think? Should I go a stem wall? Here's what it really gets down to. I don't like stem walls to myself, because now I'm doing a 3-foot stem just to have room so mechanical get in there. But how much further would it have been if I did a 6-foot stem for a real storage, or even a 10-foot or a 7 or 9-foot? By that time, you have all the captured square footage down below. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to stem, I just go all the way down for a basement or a walkout. Even if it's only an 8-foot ceiling or a 9-foot ceiling, I don't have to go for a full 10-foot. Then now I've captured square footage, and that's where the basement factor starts to kick in. And now you have all that square footage, which is adding equity to your home. That's why I have a hard time with stem wall. It's either all or nothing for me. And so if I do a slab, I can capture square footage on a second floor more affordably with attic trusses than if I go down with a full basement. So that's where the real cost difference happens. Full basement is going to be a lot more than if I go up with some attic trusses. I hope that answers your question. Good question, though. My least Tourette. I hope I said that right. Building in Canab, contractor quote states builder risk, homeowner's insurance by owner. Contractor to be listed as additional insured. Now that's kind of...
Is that normal?
He's not a contractor. He's not a licensed contractor. He cannot do that because as a licensed contractor in my state, and he's building in my state, he has to have actual insurance. You want to check in on this guy. He probably doesn't have a license as a GC, and he's probably pushing himself as a GC, but working as a consultant or construction manager. So therefore, you're responsible for all the liability, and you're responsible for all the insurance. Yet he's still going to charge you a full GC fee. That's dangerous. He's probably not got enough work, and he's pushing it off onto owner builders and stuff like that. That's a red flag. That's a really big red flag. No, that is not normal. It's a red flag, and it's not normal. Canning 3, my floor truss design has a 2-foot drop for my 42 by 72 shower. That's a 2-inch drop shower. Is 2-inch enough for a 0-entry shower? Yes, it's just fine. Some people like 3 inches, but that's just more pan that the tile guy has to do. 2-inch is just fine. If the shower is really, really, really big, like 4 feet by 5 feet or 6 feet, then you might want to drop it to 3 inches. But if it's a small shower, typical shower by 3.5 by maybe 5 or so, then 2 inches is just going to be fine. A really good question. This, what she's talking about, is when they build the truss, they build into the truss. This is an attic truss. They build into the truss or floor truss. They're building into it a recessed area for a shower. So the framers don't have to cut into it, and no one likes to cut into a truss situation. So it's really phenomenal. If you can time it right and design it just right. And I've got 2 that we've done just like this on a build, and I'll do a walkthrough on a mechanical, and I'll show you here in a video in a couple of weeks where we actually designed the recessed 2-inch area for the showers in this home. It's really cool. If you time it right and design it right and work with people, you can get it done. That's for a 0 threshold shower. 0 threshold means you don't step over anything. You just walk right into it like a wheelchair. Okay. Okay. David Parker, 2173. I think there's much more comprehension of micro invasions with a basement. Plus, they provide good extra rough space. Yes, they do. I don't know what you mean by micro invasions.
Maybe it was like a typo, automatic type.
Yeah. Or,
maybe they're on their cell phone.
Yeah. The thing about a basement is it's conditioned space fit cheap. You know, if you're like in Arizona, it gets so hot outside, that basement down 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet down below, it's going to maintain a much better constant temperature. And if for some reason the heat electric goes out, just go downstairs. It's going to be comfortable. These are benefits of a basement. It's just a little more costly these days with excavation costs and concrete costs. So if you time it right, though, and work it right and schedule it right, and it works out number wise, then basements are great. Okay, remember to hit the thumbs up. Yeah, let's do that. Appreciate that.
Okay. Oh, he was saying, okay, so it was micro things that can't be seen. And then he's teasing biological invasions.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Basements are almost the same temperature, most basements, as a surgical operating room. And if you've ever been in a surgical operating room, it's cold in the low 60s, the mid-high 50s, and things don't grow as much in those colder climates. That's just something to think about. So it's kind of nice, basements. However, if basements aren't drained properly from the outside, moisture can build up, and that solves the negative, where basements can always have that mildew smell because they didn't solve that problem during the course of construction. So there's a high positive, and then there's a high negative if things are not done right.
Okay, I asked what more videos do you want to see? And I got Brady to answer.
I like the job site videos, just showing phases of construction and important details. Yeah, we have a lot of those we've just filmed. We have a lot of those coming up.
So another question, do you like the more candid or the more professional? Because we could probably do more just on the job candid ones than professional, because we just have to schedule the videographer and that.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot more on-site stuff. People love it. They just like to watch a job, and we've got a lot. My son and I filmed last week several videos all day on last Monday or whatever, and he just followed me on job sites. We talked about a lot of stuff, so it's going to be fun. So,
okay, what is something that to have people feel at ease by building their own home? Because you don't have to pick up a hammer and that. It's just the managing. That's the biggest cost. So how can we help people feel at ease just to save that cost?
If you are able to be there when subcontractors are there, you can take questions from them and you'll feel comfortable, because they'll give you options. They can say, we're going to do it this way, but if we do it this way, then that, etc. And rather than coming on a job and feel like you have to tell everybody what to do, if you go on a job site and you feel like you're insecure and you have to be like a GC and tell everybody what to do, then that creates tension on the job site. The best way to approach it is and have like an inviting appeal about yourself. Like I was on a job site today, and one of my subcontractors had a question. I go, yeah, well, what do you think? What do you think we should do about that? And he goes, I think if you did it this way, that would actually be better. I go, great, do it. And so trust their insight, trust their experience. You don't need to know everything, because if you feel like you need to know everything, then you're going to come off wrong, and it's going to make it hard to work for you.
Yeah, our first home that we built, that we were teachers and we were owner builders, and we just got so lucky with the framer. He was amazing. And he would talk to us like, hey, I can give you more space here. Oh, I can give you more space here. And like, yes, let's do it. Yes, let's do it. So when you have really good contractors, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I have a friend who is female, and she's a general contractor. And when she goes on a job site, she's bullying, she's bossy. Nobody likes to work for her. And I said, why are you doing that? She goes, because I'm a female. I have to do this because they won't listen to me. And I looked at my daughter, and my daughter is a GC too. And she gets a lot of good subcontractors, and they all love working for my daughter, but they don't like working for her. Because you don't have to come off like a hard, gruffy person to deal with people in the industry that are kind of hard and gruffy. You don't have to be like that. When my daughter walks on a job site, every subcontractor loves her. She's fun. She smiles. She's giddy. She is a little bit of a tomboy, but they love that about her. So she doesn't have to come off harsh. And establishing a good relationship at the start is the best, and that's going to ease your pain, make it so you're stress free by alleviating the stress of other people. But I'm telling you, there's kind of a real, I'm going to be blunt here, kind of anal perfectionism in the owner builder crowd. Either they want to build it super cheap because they want to save money, or they want to build it to such a ridiculous perfection that perfectionism comes on the job site and drives everybody batty. If you have that kind of an attitude on everything, that's gonna be bonkers. And that's really rampant. Both those extremes are rampant in the owner builder sphere. This is why there's the excessive perfectionist people. They're not really perfectionists. They're unrealistic a lot of the time. Nobody wants to work for them. And if any subcontractor gets a whiff that that's who you are, they're going to walk, and they're not going to want to take the job. So I'm telling you that establishing relationships that are cordial, likable, you're the employer. People want to work for you. People want to come on the job site. People want to enjoy coming to work for Joe and Mary that are building a home for themselves. But if you think you have to run a business with hard-nosed nitpickiness, it's going to go really terrible for you. And builders and subs are going to walk on you, and they're not going to pick up the phone. They're not going to communicate with you. So you get the drift. That's probably the number one thing, is to know how to establish relationships with people. Okay. Essa, are you currently accepting phone consultations? Yes, I am. Just contact the instructor, and I'll give you a form that you can fill out. And I do an hour consult. I've done that many times with owner builders. Just before they start building, during the course of build, I've had FaceTimes with owner builders. Hey, I've got this question. I just don't know how to approach this. Let's do a FaceTime. And the best consult I can give is when you have plans before you go to the engineer. I can catch a lot of things. Like I did a consult about a week and a half ago for a gentleman who's building, I think in Florida. And we did some flipping and some arrangement of his house. It was phenomenal. I created I created a rental in his home, which was legal in the city where he is building. And he never thought about that. And it was detached from the house, above the garage, big garage, and he's going for it. And so now he'll have some income on his home. So that's the best place, is when I can consult at the design phase before you go to the engineer, while you're still designing it. That's when I can be of the most help for you. Okay. But just reach out, contact the instructor at How to Build Your Own Home right there. My lease Tarot. I don't know if that's okay. Interesting name. You taking quotes for a 1,850 square foot build in Kanab? I can look at it. I have some people that will go out that way, others that will not, and they may charge some fee. I do have some builders that I know, some subs that are out there, but I would push you to be an owner builder. I could get you even to framing stage, and you can run it yourself. So I just want to help you out. I'd love to make money off you if you want to throw it my way. But that one issue you had with that builder, that's a red flag. So reach out to me through How to Build Your Own Home, or go to my website at kelschconstruction.com. And there's a form that says contact the builder. It's at the bottom. Reach out to us that way, and we'd love to help you out. Okay.
Let's see. And then Brady says, Canada is good. So I can follow you around when I have time.
Yes.
And I'll get some stuff.
Yeah. Canada, we'll do some more of that. I love doing that. I need to I got a new poll here for my phone. So this is going to help out. I can just attach the phone to that and just show you some stuff. So I want to get back to that. So I have a lot of stuff in my head about the future and filming and content creation. So I'm just waiting to see my head settle on what direction to go. So.
Okay, that's it, honey.
Yeah, we'll end there. We got a couple minutes extra, so I wanted to let everyone know. Still, right now, if you haven't watched my market report, now is a really good time to build.
Okay.
Even though interest rates are kind of funky, not necessarily low, but not ridiculously high, it's because of material costs are low. Oil is now super cheap. Barrel of oil. I used to watch that. And now an ounce of silver is almost twice the cost of a barrel of oil. That says a lot about the cost of materials, transporting materials, lumber, you name it, concrete, A to B, getting them from one point to another. That's come down. Lumber costs are still down. Labor is flatlined and it's competitive. I could show you. I had 2 texts just this morning on subcontractors looking for work. Literally 2 texts. I'm averaging 5 to 10 texts a week now on people looking for work. So it's a bargain opportunity for labor. In fact, I had a box store call me this morning and said, "Hey, we were wondering about that lumber package. Are you ready for that?" "Well, I don't know. We haven't broke ground." He says, "I'll tell you what, we're interested in sending you that package. We'll drop it another $1,000. A box store called me to let me know that they're willing to negotiate and drop the price $1,000 on a lumber package. But even before that, we took the lumber package that we got from a local supply house, not a box store, a local lumber yard. We got the bid from them. Then we went and got to another bid from a box store. This is a really interesting story. And then the local supply house, local lumber yard, they're always more money, typically. They said, "Give us the box store bid," and they beat it by a couple grand.
Wow.
So this is what's happening out there right now. We're in a very different economy. And if your income is stable, and if you have the cash or you have the loan and all that, and your work situation is very stable, now is a very, very good time to build because you are now in the driver's seat with getting good bargains on things. So that's the video I put out a couple weeks ago. So watch that video.
And even buying land, like sellers are negotiating.
Mm-hmm. They are. And it's going to get even more that way. We're in for a major market correction. Every financial expert that I know tells me that's what's happening. And when that happens, you're going to see an opportunity to buy land, an opportunity to buy restoration projects, an opportunity to hire subcontractors at a better price, and the cream rises to the top. So you're going to get the best of the best, typically, because the really bad ones in a bad economy, they can't afford it, and everybody knows they're bad, and then they end up leaving. And so we're left with the best of the best in the market. So I'm trying to situate you and place you in a position that's a really, really good position. And this year, if I was an owner builder, I'd be enjoying it. This is a really good opportunity for you. With everything else in place that needs to be in place, if that stuff's in place, economics and job and all that, now is a good time to build. So, okay, anything else?
That's it. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. We're so glad you
came. You guys see you next week. Like and subscribe. And again, if you're watching this video later on in the week and you can't be the live chat, go to How to Build Your Own Home, contact the instructor, and leave your questions like this, and I will answer them. And you can come back to live chat and listen and watch the questions that I give or the answers that I give to your question. So don't feel like you're never here. Everyone can be here, whether you watch it later or not. Reach out at howtobuildyourownhome.com. See you guys next Thursday.
Okay. See ya.